5,000 migrants from Central America are now heading to San Diego, where they plan to ask the U.S. government for asylum at the legal port of entry. And in anticipation of that, Customs and Border Protection officials have shut down several lanes from Tijuana into San Diego, one of the busiest border crossings in America. Now, they did that today, as you see from that traffic, even though, according to the San Diego Tribune, as of last night, most members of the largest caravan remain more than 1,500 miles from Tijuana. And while those 5,000 plus troops the president sent to, quote, defend the border, well, most of them are also hundreds of miles away from Tijuana, stationed instead in Texas near the Rio Grande Valley. It's an absurd situation that Democratic Senator and Iraq war veteran Tammy Duckworth pointed out to me is also a massive waste of resources.
Well, there's no real mission for the troops there, and this is at the cost of, I'm hearing figures as high as $200 million. You know, this president has done everything he can to politicize our military, and that's completely wrong. So we've got 5,000 troops under Title 10, by the way, which means that under Posse Comitatus Act, they're not allowed to do any law enforcement functions. So they're basically sitting out in the desert, building fences and latrines for each other, eating MREs with no real mission. It's a real waste of resources, and it is a real misuse of our brave men and women in uniform, and they're going to be there over Thanksgiving, away from their families.
You were tweeting yesterday, if I'm not mistaken, on the day that folks were observing Veterans Day about the anniversary of what you called your Alive Day, the day that your helicopter was shot down. Tell me about what it was like to sort of recollect about that day.
Well, yesterday was the 14-year anniversary of my Alive Day. It's a tradition taught to us by the Vietnam veterans. I could look at the day I was shot down as a very sad day or as a second birthday, and I choose to celebrate it. And so for me, every year, it's my gut check. It's my moral compass. I don't ever want to live my life in a way at any day of my life that the men who saved me would ever be ashamed of what I do. And it's really my moral compass here in Congress. Every day that I'm in the Senate, I think, you know, I don't ever want them to regret ever regret saving my life, and I try to do everything I can to support our troops, to support our veterans, to live by the ideals that they lived by when they saved me that day in that dusty field in Iraq.
In terms of supporting veterans, there's this story that I really am still scratching my head about. 82,000 beneficiaries of the VA GI Bill are waiting on delayed housing payments. And this appears to be the cause of a technical glitch that was known for quite some time. Why is this not fixed? Incompetence from this Trump administration. There's still not a chief information officer for the VA. 2 years in, the second largest agency in the United States government, with 300,000 employees that are serving tens and millions of veterans, they do not have a CIO. So their computer system crashed, basically, and now 80,000 young men and women who are going to school on a GI Bill that they earned thanks to their military service protecting and defending us are not going to get money for their housing allowance. Many of them have gotten too little money. Some of them have been paid as little as, you know, $800 less than they should have been paid. They're going to get kicked out of their apartments, their dormitories, at a time when they're trying to move on with their lives. And this president can't, you know, he's spending $200 million on sending 5,000 troops to the border where they have nothing to do, and yet he's going to leave 80,000 veterans who've already done their job, who've already performed their missions out there with no place to live because they're not getting their housing allowance. It is shameful.